It's an honor to be here today to join you and listen a topic of great significance and potential, expanding business opportunities to United States. As we gather in this seminar, our goal is to explore opportunities, challenges, and strategies considerations involved in taking business to one of the world's largest and dynamic markets. The United States, with its vast economy, diverse consumer base, and robust infrastructure, present a myriad of opportunities for business looking to expand. With GDP of over 23 trillion and a population of more than 330 million, the US market is not only large but also highly diversified, catering to a wide range of industries and consumer preferences. Diversify This diversity allows businesses to tap multiple market segments and tailor their products and services accordingly. Navigating this regulatory landscape in US can be very complex with the federal, state, and local regulation to consider. Ensure compliances in all relevant laws, including labor, tax, now more importantly, environmental and sustainability, apart from industry specific regulations. With this background, expanding your business to United States requires meticulous planning and strategic execution. We have with us a team of experts who will be talking to you on specific subjects which focusing on business setup opportunities, market entry strategies, and all the legal aspects and process of getting L1A Visa, etc. With the right approach, I'm sure that your business can thrive in and grow in this dynamic US market. I encourage all of you to take advantage of this insightful and uh, which will be shared today evening and to seek further guidance during this discussion if needed. With this, let me stop here. I look forward for insightful presentation and request all of you to engage with the speakers and getting more information. With this, I leave the floor to Navinji. Over to you, sir. You please take it forward and proceed with your presentation and speeches. Thank
Wonderful,
you.
sir. Thank you very much, Unikrishnan, sir. Pleasure to be as a part of this webinar through FIO, in association with FIO. In fact, with FIO, we also did a buyer-seller meet in US, and ever since this is, one of the third or the fourth webinar we are doing it together. So I once again thank you, FIO. Thank you, the whole team of FIO and Unikrishnan, sir, especially for giving this opportunity to us also, but opening up this opportunity for everyone who's participating here as well. So, I know there are 192 people. If everybody asks one question and we spend 1 minute on answering it, it will be 192 minutes, 3 hours. I would not want to waste a single second. In very short, we have three great experts today on this panel. But let me do the screen share and just give a small background, and then we'll get started. Okay, just give me 1 second. And okay, so everybody can see my screen.
Yes, please proceed.
Okay, wonderful.
Yes.
All right. So first of all, very small part. We are going to have a couple of things, everyone. Please mute yourself. With so many people, I want to make, as just a small guideline, please mute yourself. Very important. The whatever will come out of the mouth of every speaker, you just consider it Saraswati speaking today. It will be very, very helpful. So please pay full attention to it. And because, it becomes very critical at one point of time, I want to say something that if I bring one expert, let's say you want to talk to Tarun, or you want to talk to Ajay, or you want to talk to Geeta, every 1 minute will call you will cost you 250 to $300 every 1 hour. And this time belongs to you. Make the best use of it. Ask your questions in the end. We'll go over, the presentations first and then ask your questions in the end. We will address those questions as much as that we can. Of course, the idea is to help companies um, expand business in the US. But before that, let me give you a small background of who I am. In next 30 seconds, I just won't take much time once again. So it's a single stop shop helping companies expand business in US. And from company setup to L1A, we do warehousing, moving of goods, US customs, transportation, even investments and cross-border mergers and acquisitions. Very small. This would not take much time. Entry India started in 2006, so we have been doing it for last 17 years. Actually, now it is going to be 18 years. And with the with the time as we move along, you get to meet people, you get to make create your network, and that is the wealth we bring onto the table. That is very important for everyone here to listen to. If not me, then all the three experts, because whatever you will hear back or hear from them will help you set up your path for your future expansion in the US market. One simple thing: you cannot learn to drive in a parked car. So today you are in a parked car. Understand what it takes to expand business, understand the opportunities, understand what it takes to start a company, and understand how something like L1A can help you expand further in the US market. So, this is a small part of the team based out of New Jersey. Here we have, again, in next 10 seconds, or, I'll go expert by expert. So the three speakers who are joining us today are Tarun Gupta, who is a director at New Jersey India Center, which is based out of Gurgaon, but which is started by Choose NJ. I will have Tarun talk about it once he gives his talk, and the next speaker will be Ajay Kumar, who is a CPA wealth planner, and the last speaker will be Geeta Raja Varoppu, who is a L1A visa expert with Enter USA. Now, in very short, Tarun, I've known Tarun for a few years. We have done some webinars together where Choose NG assist the Indian companies, companies around the world, but that is a task of in New Jersey India Center. But Tarun has been is a managing partner of T&A consulting firm with over 20 years of experience in the field of corporate investment banking and consulting. Guys with so much of experience, no question is small or big. Please do ask, but listen to everything that what Tarun has to say. Tarun has a proven track record in promoting bilateral trade and investment between India and various countries. But at this point of time, it is between India and USA. He leads a team of experienced professionals who have assisted over, hear this word, 300 overseas companies from over 20 countries looking to do business in India or in the USA or in other parts also. But we are focusing once again India and USA. So, you can hear Tarun as multiple events, highly regarded person. And I know Tarun was in New Jersey. Tarun will share his experience too with respect to the opportunities that New Jersey has to open. And this is fortunate. What is fortunate? That Tarun represents New Jersey India chapter, and myself with Ajay and Geeta, we are New Jersey based, experts, or you can say team. And so this is a married made in heaven. We all are coming together for this webinar only to give you the guidance through this webinar in expanding business in the US market. So Tarun, with this background, please take the conversation forward.
Sure. Thank you, Naveen, for your very kind words. Uh, Before I begin, I would just like to make sure that the biggest technical challenge for me is always sharing the screen. And then I will also like to thank Mr. Unikrishnan, who set the context regarding the importance of the US market. Mr. Unikrishnan, New Jersey would come second, first is the US as a market. So if all the participants allow me, so it's multiple participants can share. I'm just looking at, I hope I have the rights for sharing. Otherwise, I'll request my colleague Ashin to share the presentation. I'm just, yeah, okay. Allow me. I think you got to give me the rights for sharing. Just allow me a minute. Yeah, okay. So as long as, yeah, I think it should be okay. Yeah, just allow. Yeah. If you could tell me if you're able to see the screen, Naveen,
Yes,
if you give
yes,
me thumbs
yes,
up,
Tarun, we can see.
you
We
are
can
able
see.
to see the screen, then we can,
Yes.
yeah. Okay. So that's the most difficult part out of the way. And I'm also conscious that there are several people. So, uh, being a Delhiite, I find it very difficult to stick to the time limit, but I will try my best. So, first of all, thank you, Mr. Unikrishnan, for laying a very strong foundation. US is the largest market for majority of our Indian companies, majority of the sectors. You look at information technology sector, pharmaceutical sector, automotive sector, apparel sector. I can keep going on and on. And that is the single biggest reason why Indian companies look to set up in the US. Quite often, the precursor is exports to that market. And there has been a growing dynamism. The US continues to be the growth engine of the world, accounting for nearly 20 to 25% of the world's GDP and continues to show strong growth rate. So that's been the primary reason why we see Indian companies looking at the US. Now, a bit of introduction about myself and New Jersey India Center. New Jersey India Center was set up. The announcement was made when Governor Murphy led the first delegation to 2019. And subsequently, we have expanded our presence in India with an office now not only in Gurugram, but right now I am in Bangalore. So we also have New Jersey India Center, a satellite office in Bangalore, which is a testimony to the increasing level of interest we see from Indian companies in New Jersey, for New Jersey as their beachhead, as their home in the US, in New Jersey. So that's something, and I have the privilege of leading a team. I have a three-member team. My colleague Ashen Anthony, who's based in Bangalore, my colleagues Nitika and Richa, based in Gurgaon office. So now, as I move to the presentation, you will hear a lot of slides, but if there is one message I want you to take from the entire slides over the next 10 minutes, what is New Jersey? So you would see you attended this webinar. What is New Jersey? It's people, place, prosperity. That's it. Okay. If you take these three words about New Jersey, I have done my job. People, place, and prosperity. And that would be my theme as I move on to the next few slides. This is a bit of a sales spiel. I would elaborate on most of them where the state stands highest ranked amongst all the US states. And what is this implication for you as a business, for you as an individual? How is that? But first and foremost, let's start with a love of Bollywood. A lot of Bollywood movies are shot in New. So the Manhattan skyline, what you see, the movie has been shot in New Jersey. So let me start by playing a small video. And Naveen, if you could tell me that you're able to hear the sound once I start, yeah? It's a 90-second video. So I'm just starting
Sure.
that.
No, the voice is not there, Tarun.
Okay. Uh, but I'll still play it just to run past it. Yeah, I'll just play it. Yeah. Thanks. I'll move on to the next slide about people. So the first and foremost is the level of talent which is available in the state. You look at the statistics on your left. It is the hub for really science-based high quality talent. And this has direct implications for you as a family, for you as an individual, for you as a business. It is ranked number one in terms of graduate, postgraduate STEM in the entire US. And what is the background behind that? There are a couple of factors. Number one, it has some of the best universities. It has the best university in the US. It has the number two public university as well. As a result of that, and how is that base built? That base is built on the basis that it has the number one public schooling system. Okay. Now, for us as an Indian family, as an Indian professional moving to the US, one of the key factors is how is the safety in that state and how is my children's education. And this is the fact that it has the best public schooling system is a big draw for Indian companies, Indian professionals to move there. And in fact, Naveen, you mentioned I was in New Jersey. I visited one of my classmates' school. And when you look at the rooster, you could think this is a mini Indian school because most of our Indian professionals gravitate towards where there are best schools. Okay. So, family first, which is in line with the value system which we have here in India. I mentioned about safety. This is now the strictest gun law. Mr. Unikrishnanji, you mentioned about environmental. So the state has set a goal for 100% clean energy by 2035. My lungs are used to the AQI of Gurgaon. Now imagine when I land in New Jersey and the AQI is 25, 30, 40. So my lungs take a bit of a time to adjust. But that's the level of importance which is attached. And of course, in terms of women reproductive right, LGBTQ. So it's a very overall, it's one of the most diverse state and diversity is celebrated. There's another anecdote which I would like to share. And Naveenji, you could take a hint. I'm not putting in a spot. But on one street, Oak Tree Road, if you could tell me the number of Indian jewelers on one street in that street which I'm talking about, I went there because of my vegetarian hunger pangs. But you want to take a guess how many jewelry shops are there on that one street? There are 32 jewelry chains on that one street. Okay. Now, our love for gold as a country does not go away, but we have place. So, what I'm mentioning is this is a diverse state. 5% of the population is nearly Indian origin, but celebrates diversity. So, my first point is about people. Second, about the place. Yeah. Look at it is one of the best improved states over a year and a half. The GDP has shown significant increase and also for private sector growth. One thing which we are very advantageous is the proximity to the New York area, but also to the entire Northeast corridor. Now, within the US, that itself is highly populated, high engine. So most of a lot of large US headquarter companies are located in this corridor. So that is again a big reason. It needs to make a business sense for a company to go to the US and go to New Jersey. And this is what it provides. You look at global connectivity. Again, the number of times in a day you could fly directly to New York, New Jersey, only from New Delhi. There are at least 5 flights. 2 flights to Newark from United every day. There's a flight to JFK of American. There's a flight of Air India. So really distances have shrunk. And that is again an advantage for a business, not only from an airport, but also from a port perspective. Today, New Jersey, New York port is the busiest on the East Coast, but often it also overtakes Long Beach on the West Coast as the busiest port. So all these factors make sure that the place remains competitive. I spoke about the infrastructure. So again, whenever somebody talks about traffic in New Jersey, I said, welcome to my world. How can you even complain about traffic? But again, very high road density, very high rail density. So a lot of distribution hubs increasingly are being located, and a lot of our Indian companies, exporters, Mr. Unikrishnan, they are ensuring that with a to make sure of the reduction in lead times, sensitivity, consistency in lead time. They have their distribution hub. In fact, yesterday I've been reading how the freight prices have really gone up twice to thrice. That reiterates the importance of having a local distribution hub. Moving on, these are just some major companies, but my message here is you are going to New Jersey because it provides you access to a lot of headquarters in the Northeastern Territory. Uh, Second is prosperity. Now, third point. So, people, place, now prosperity. Look at these sectors. Now, these sectors go very, very well with our Indian strengths. Pharmaceuticals. You name any large Indian pharma company, we did a bit of a study. I think out of top 200, there were about 50, nearly 60 odd companies, Indian pharma companies, which had a presence in the US. 39 are in New Jersey. We did a study for top 200 IT companies. Over 100 have a presence in the US. Half of them are in New Jersey. So clearly, but we don't take that success for granted. We continue to diversify and ensure that we provide support to our exporters, our manufacturing. We are seeing a big trend now on food exporters. Of the top 20 Indian food processing companies, 15 of them are in New Jersey. And film and media, now with the visa challenge hopefully behind us, state has laid out very, very attractive incentive scheme. So hopefully we have a large, whether it's Bollywood film, Mollywood, Telugu, Tamil, that's something we are very focused on in terms of key industry. I won't go into the various programs, but my key message here is there are 60 programs available as incentives. But the key factor driving almost all of those incentives are four factors in terms of where you're located on the state, number of jobs being created, median salary level of those jobs, and what is the capital expenditure. Now, that will determine what incentive program, whether it's training incentive, manufacturing voucher program, many other programs, building renovation, a lot of them would come into that picture. And finally, I will end. There is no point making these statements if we don't have success. And I'm very, very proud and humbled to say that New Jersey ranks amongst the top three states for Indian investment, job created by Indian companies, and all this is something now we are seeing the wave of younger companies. It's not only the bigger companies, we are seeing the wave of younger companies who are starting off their first sales office. Two, three people, maybe that does not eligible for incentives, but it's their ability to hire those people, ability to have those share offices, ability of to take help of partners like Naveenji to make that setup. With that, these are just some numbers. Indian communities, of course, you have a little Gujarat, and I'm a vegetarian. I've never had a trouble. So for me, the biggest reason is to go for food. And where in the state, there is no US state which has a dosa cart in a main street, which you will see in New Jersey. And these are just some of the investments. And we can provide support in terms of site selection, introduction, and various support mechanisms are available. The team is here locally, available in Bangalore, in Delhi to provide any support. And we have our annual missions every year, which now we will have a mission in December. But please use our offices to take any support, any guidance, and we would love to welcome you to our state. Thank you so much for the opportunity, Naveenji, and I'm available for any questions after this.
Beautiful, Tarun. Thank you very much for this lovely presentation and just sharing all the numbers. Yes, of course, New Jersey is, you will not miss India if you are in New Jersey. It is India outside India. And I've been there for 20 plus years now. And, most of you, we all want to expand business because we want to sell our products or services. In a 3.5 hours drive, there are roughly around 56 to 57 million people, and economic output is $3 trillion plus, $3.75 trillion is the economic output. Means your product lands at the New Jersey port. From that New Jersey port, 3.5 hours north, east, west, south, whatever. Nothing is the east there because it's on the port. $3.5 trillion of economic output coming from a distance of 3.5 hours. That means from here, before you reach Chandigarh, And if I make that radius, less than Chandigarh actually, so $3.5 trillion economy come from only that part of the world. So this is beautiful. Thank you, Tarun. Thank you so much. And now moving on to next, let me do my screen share, and we'll take the questions in the end, everyone. No rush. Uh, okay. So moving next, we have Mr. Ajay Kumar. I mean, Ajay is one of the finest. When I say one of the finest, I tell you, in New Jersey itself alone, there are 12,000 plus CPAs. There are only handful. When I say handful, you can count them on the hand who understand the cross-border business and trade. With over 2,500 companies formed, there cannot be any better hand you will be if you are with Ajay. So his experience, he is, as I share with you, he's an MBA, he's a computer science engineer, he's a wealth planner, he's a CPA, of course, and with 2,500 plus companies under his belt, there is no transaction which he has not seen, from setting up a company, from to compliance, to accounting, to payroll, and to mergers and acquisitions. You name it, and we got it. So with that said, Ajay, the ball is in your court, and I'm moving on to the slide one, and there we go.
Thank you. Thank you, Naveen. Great presentation, Tarun. I have been in New Jersey for all my life, 25, 30 years. Uh, and I did not know a lot of things about New Jersey that you just mentioned. I'm a big fan. When I came to this country, I could have settled anywhere. I wanted the touch of a big city, New York City, and not be part of that city. Wanted open space, loan around the house so I can have the family properly raised. So New Jersey is my favorite place as well. But that being said, uh, thank you everyone for joining. I know a lot of people are there. It's evening time in India, dinner time. So I appreciate you taking time to learn about doing business in US. We'll try our best. We have a concise presentation over here. I'm sure I'll miss few things. If there is any question, please do not hesitate to write on the chat box. We'll try our best to cover your question. It doesn't matter. It does not matter if I'm MBA, CPA, computer engineer, wealth planner, unless I answer your question. As Naveen rightly pointed out in the beginning, you cannot learn driving in a parked car. I put it the other way around. You cannot learn swimming while standing on the shore. So a lot of these things you can only learn by actually doing it. And we have made it easy. It's not that complicated anymore. With Entry India, you have one-stop shop, right from business startup to payroll, to the sales tax, to the merchant service, to the warehousing, to the legal immigration. Entry India can bring all these experts to your front door. So that being said, let's jump into it. While it comes to opening a company in US, we typically see three main reasons why people want to open the company. You can have your reason. These are the three reasons that we want to expand in US. We already have a business in India, is doing very well. We are trying to open a branch office in India, in a different country in US, or we see that we are trying to open a search engine optimization, a service company, a website manufacturing company, website creation company in US, where everything will be done from India, meaning no physical presence in US. And then we also see a lot of time where the people are trying to create a warehouse in US, meaning right from having no connection to the US while you have a business in US to actually having a presence, a warehouse, inventory in US. We have seen all sorts of situations. So you can have any situation when it comes to expanding the business, opening a subsidiary, opening a branch office, or providing services to the US client right from India. So there could be a plethora of situation when you say, I want to open a business in US. Moving on, Naveen, please. So I'm sure you have understood the benefits. That's why you are here. So there's a lot of benefit. Of course, the visibility. You can call yourself an international company. When you are registered in US, you are seen more trustworthy. A lot of US customers, a lot of foreign customers do not want to work with an international company, with an Indian company, especially because they don't know who they are working with. They don't know who they go behind if something does not work out. You can get paid in US dollars, not in Indian rupees. A lot of times getting paid is difficult even if you have provided the service. A lot of banks, a lot of these US based company will require TRC, a tax residency certificate. That's not easy to get. So if you have a presence in US, it avoids all those type of issues. You can get paid as a local company. A lot of investors will see you more legitimate. So you can have a lot of angel investor, venture capitals, private funding, private loans, people who will be happy to give you loan, happy to give you money to sustain, to grow the business. Of course, if immigration is one aspect, please do not go anywhere. After me, we will have Geeta. She's an expert. She did a lot of visas, L1, H1 visa for my own company. So you don't really have a better expert than Geeta. So please stay tuned, especially if you're interested in immigration section. Do not go anywhere. Being a local company, you can bid on local municipality project, state project, government project, defense project, which you are not allowed to bid if you are an outside the US company. If you're an international company, you're not allowed to bid on several of these government projects. Of course, you have preferential treatment, new technology products. So the benefits are a lot. You have to decide what makes sense in your case. And again, why don't give it a try? If it works out, that's great. You did something good. If it does not work out, you can always close it down. Moving on, Naveen, please. So when it comes to starting a business in US, there are mainly two types of structure that the government allows. In total, the government has five types of structure. We call it corporation, C Corp, S Corp, small corp, LLC, partnership, and proprietorship. Out of these five structures, two type of structures, LLC and C Corp, allow foreign ownership. So out of depending on your situation, depending on what you're trying to achieve, will help you decide what type of company would make sense. Will also help you decide, look at the pros and cons of each type of structure. Say, for example, if you're looking for funding, private funding, angel investment, venture capital funding, bank loans, typically the C corporation would make sense. If you're looking for a real estate investment, buying a warehouse in US, typically the LLC would make sense. And in further slide, in future slides, will also help you understand the main distinction between the two companies. So an LLC is more flexible than corporation. A corporation has more compliance around it than an LLC. Uh, Changing the ownership is much easier. So for a small business, when uh, consider a situation when you have the dating before the marriage. So LLC is your dating, and C corporation is the marriage part of it. When you have this, I don't know what I'm doing. I just want to give it a try. I'm not sure if I'm going to be successful or not. LLC may make sense. When you have a situation when I already have a business in India, it's doing okay. I'm expanding the business in a foreign country, then C corporation will make sense. LLC LLC is typically good when you have a business where you don't intend to make profit. For example, a real estate investment. After paying the mortgage interest, property tax, depreciation, your paper profit is not going to be there in a typical real estate investment. LLC would make sense. C corporation requires more compliance. So for the same transaction, same profit and loss statement, if an LLC has a 50-page tax return, your C corporation will have 70-page tax return. C corporation just because it has more compliance, more formalities around it. A lot of investors, venture capital investor, angel investors, banks prefer C corporation. The last thing a venture capitalist or an angel investor want is to have problems because of a business that they invested in. They don't want anybody to be coming behind them because they invested money into your business. So a lot of venture capitalist or the angel investor will prefer uh, a C corporation type of structure. It's very hard for anybody to sue, to legally go behind the shareholders of a C corporation. An LLC wheel can be LLC, limited liability company. The liability protection is limited to a certain extent, limited to the assets of the company. In a C corporation, you have better liability protection. So a lot of investors will prefer a C corporation over an LLC. As far as the tax rate is concerned, for a foreign person, the tax rate remains same, 21% flat tax rate for the federal government, and the state varies depending on the amount of net profit you have. So here I take an example. Let's say if your total revenue, the money that you collected in this country is $100. The cost to do that business was $90. The net profit is $10. So your tax to the federal government is going to be $2.10, 21%. And based on $10, since the amount is low, you will have 50 cents. So the state income tax rate varies from 5% to 9%. When we talk about, and in our future slides, we'll cover it. When we talk about income tax or compliance in this country, we are always talking about two levels of government. Federal government, consider it central government, the Indian government, and then the state government. Consider it like UP government, Delhi government, or MP government, meaning all the compliance that we see in US is done at two levels, state level and at the federal. Federal is central government level, but we'll give you more information in our future slides. So what does it mean to form an LLC or C corporation for that matter? What documents are given? What does the registration includes? And how do you make sure the registration is done? So when we talk about business formation, the very first step is to search the name. The name has to be unique in that state. So name search. Then we will do the registration with the state government, let's say New Jersey. So once the name is found to be unique, we will do the business registration with the state government. Once the state registration is approved, we'll do the registration with the federal government, call it as central government. Once that registration is approved, an EIN, once you do the registration with the federal government, an EIN, employer identification number, is issued for the business. It's a unique 9-digit number that's required to open the bank account. Once you have the state registration and the federal registration done, then we'll do the tax and labor registration. What it means is we'll ask you, do you have the payroll? Are you going to hire employees? Are you going to have retail sale? Are you going to be collecting the sales tax? And please understand, when I say sales tax, it's a form of VAT. In India, we refer it as VAT, value added tax. There are slight difference here, but just to generalize the term at a high level, assume sales tax is charged when you are selling something to consumers, retail sale. So after asking you all these questions, what the business is going to be doing, who owns the business, where is the business located, we'll do the tax and labor registration. So at a high level, these are the minimum 3 registration that you have to have. Depending on your business type, you may have other registrations like sales tax registration, payroll registration. All those things depend on your situation, but at a minimum, every single business should have these 3 registration, and then every single business should have something called BOI filing, beneficial ownership information filing. So at a high level, you should, when you say, can you start my business? I did start your business, what documents I get? You should get a minimum of 4 documents: state registration, federal registration, tax and labor registration, and a BOI filing document that shows who has the ultimate beneficial ownership for this company. Take an example here, please. Let's say if your US company is owned by the Indian company. In that case, the last document, BOI, will show the information of the Indian owners of that Indian company, because they are the ultimate beneficiary for the US company. Moving on, Naveen, please. So we have included some frequently asked questions here, just to make sure that the same questions are not asked, are not repeated. But please, if I did not cover your question, feel free to put it in the chat box and we'll try our best to cover this question. So the question we are asked, is there a minimum investment required to open a company in the US? No, there is no minimum investment required. Depending on your company type, you want to see if your company is a consulting company, you probably don't really need a lot of money to start the business. But if you say warehousing company, you probably need to have the rent for 3 months. You probably need to have the expenses for 6 months, operating expenses, but there is no minimum investment. There is no such number. It depends on your company type as how much money you need to survive for 3 months, 6 months. But there is, as a law, there is no minimum investment that will require you to open a company in US. What does it make, moving on, what does it make sense to open a company in the state of, when does it make sense to open a company in the state? Well, Delaware is a state where the owner's information is not disclosed. Now, starting January 1st, 2024, there's a new filing, we call it BOI, Beneficial Ownership Information Filing, that's submitted to the Treasury Department. So it sort of bypassed that rule, but a lot of people were registering the company in Delaware because of 2 reasons. First, it does not disclose the ownership information. And second, mainly, it's very hard for anybody to sue these companies. Meaning, in the state of Delaware, the decision is made by the jury, not the judge. So a lot of a lot of companies you will see registered in Delaware where people are not investing their own money. What it means is doing business in Delaware is more expensive than doing business in New Jersey or many other state. But the state of Delaware, if you have a company in the state of Delaware, suing the company shareholders, suing the company decision makers is not easy, it's very difficult. So when you have a structure where you are not investing your own money, when you have a public company, so it's not your money, you're taking the money from the public. When you have large investor behind you, in those cases, Delaware may make sense. When you're investing your own money to start the business in US, you probably do not want to go through Delaware. It's going to be far more expensive than any other state. Now, moving on, if I open a company in New York State but rent a warehouse in New Jersey, would I be taxed in both the state? So, yes and no. The way the system works, you have to file taxes in both the states, but you are not going to be taxed twice. So at the end of the day, will ask you how much money you collected. $100. How much were the expenses? $90. Profit, $10. How much of this profit of $10 coming from New York and New Jersey? You say, well, New York is just the business opening state. I did not do any business in New York. All the profit is coming from New Jersey. We'll say, okay, then you file taxes in the state of New York with 0 income and pay the minimum taxes to the state of New York, and file the taxes in New Jersey on $10 of income and pay taxes in New Jersey on that $10. Meaning you have to file the taxes in all those states where you have nexus. You open the company, you have a warehouse, you have an employee working, you have the payroll. You have to file taxes in all those states. And at the end of the day, will ask you out of the total profit, how much profit is coming from each state, and you pay tax on pro rata basis in each state. If you have 0 profit, you still pay the minimum tax. Each state will have a minimum tax liability. Moving on, There are there are states in which there is no sales tax and no corporate income tax. Wouldn't these states be better to open the company in? Yes. Well, and no. Please understand, all these states are in the business to make money through you. All these states run their affair by having some sort of a tax and revenue collection. Say Florida does not have personal income tax, but they have higher corporate taxes. A lot of states have excise tax. In the state of Delaware, the franchise tax could be as much as $199,000. The state of New Jersey has no franchise tax. They have state of New Jersey has annual report, and the maximum fee the New Jersey state can charge is $75 per year. So each state, you have to be sort of looking at it not from the sales tax or the corporate tax perspective. You have to be looking at it from the nexus perspective. Let's say, for example, if you found a state, Wyoming has no personal income tax. Well, okay, let's start the business in Wyoming. But Wyoming has no port. You have to have a port. Your shipment has to come to either New Jersey or somewhere. Then you have a nexus with New Jersey. In that case, again, going back to question number 3, we'll say out of the total profit, how much business was actually conducted in Wyoming? You'll say nothing. I just opened the company over there. So you file the tax on zero income over there, and whatever the profit, in our example, $10, you pay tax in New Jersey. So it will be better for you to open a company where you already have a nexus, where you are going to be working from, where you are going to have an office or a warehouse or an employee, as opposed to just finding the state randomly. Let's start there because there is no income tax over there, no sales tax over there. We can, Naveen, take the question now or in the end, whatever makes sense. I see a couple of questions over there. Naveen, you're on mute.
Let's take the questions in the end. The idea, everyone, I listed only 4 questions because if you want me, I can list 100 questions or maybe 200, and Ajay and me sit together, probably 1,000 questions. There's never going to be any end. But the idea here is to give you a jump start. And now with the thought process that you might have looked into, listening to Ajay's comments about states, about taxes, now whatever juices run in your brain, based on that, start to write your questions, and then we'll field those questions in the end. In the meanwhile, let's get into the L1A presentation by Geeta, and Ajayji, then we'll take the questions in the end.
Okay, absolutely. So thank you, everyone. Geeta, over to you.
Wonderful. Okay. So, just a little bit, Geeta Rajavarapu, a super awesome, expert in various immigration related visas. She has worked on over 1,000 applications, over thousands applications, and a very diligent, and she has worked with very large companies, including department. She works with Department of Labor, state employment agencies, State Department, U.S. embassies, counselor overseas. So you will be, as I said with Ajay, you are in safe hands. With Geeta, you are in the safest hands. But please keep in mind that this becomes a legal perspective when L1A application is filed. So there is no legal opinion Geeta is going to give here. What happens is, let's say, if I have to file for L1A, my application things, my business case will be very different from yours. So for Geeta to give or provide any legal opinion on your cases, it is very subjective to the kind of business you are in. So there is, in this discussion or in this talk by Geeta, there is, this is not to be taken as a legal opinion by Geeta. Please take it on the face value. And now the ball is in Geeta's court. Again, whatever thought appears in your mind listening to Geeta, you keep on writing in the chat box, and we'll field those questions in the end for all the three parties, for all the three speakers. I mean, Tarun, Ajay, and Geeta. Ajay, Geeta, now you can start with your presentation. Here we are.
Thank you. Thank you, Naveen ji. Thank you for the introduction. And then thank you, Tarun ji and Ajay, for a beautiful start of the presentation. Very interesting points, like Ajay rightly said. There's so many beautiful things about New Jersey that many of us are not aware. We keep enjoying in our own small world. I have been in New Jersey for almost 15 years now, and it's like if you like the place and you start staying here, you just don't want to move anywhere. And I'm really, really proud to be a part of the Entry India team, and all of us are in New Jersey. Today, I'll take a moment to talk about the L1A visa specifically, although we could help out from the team with various immigration aspects on whichever is going to be applicable for your particular company or your particular case, because this is a general overview of the L1A visa. However, we properly need to evaluate each case. Each case is very, very different. And we have a team of experts here, because each of these businesses are interlinked. Like, say, for example, even before I jump into the presentation, right, to start, you need to start a company to have really talk about this L1 visa, right? And then you need to have you need to start your business, so wherein Ajay's team has the expertise to take care of all that. We are all in New Jersey to physically see you all if anybody really wants to move in over here and to help you out. To talk about specifically about L1A visa, the beauty of this visa is it's a dual intent visa, wherein we say a non-immigrant intent and an immigrant intent. Non-immigrant is something like, for example, you have your tourist visa, B1, B2 visa. On that particular visa, you cannot come to the US and say, hey, we want to continue staying in the country. But whereas the beauty of L1A visa is you have the visa, which is a non-immigrant intent, but it enables you eventually to obtain a green card. Given we properly evaluate, we will see how your case is looking like, and tell you what is the right approach. And then eventually, once the visa is approved, there is a pathway, you get the green card under EB1C category. So so for this, basically, to give you an introduction, you have to consider a couple of general qualifications. Using this visa, you could transfer one of your employees, or a CEO of a company, or a CFO of a company who is in an executive managerial role from the foreign country. So, for example, if I'm saying it's a foreign country, that means it can be in India, it can be Europe, it can be Australia, as long as the qualifying relationship that we will talk in the next slide meets the requirement, we can evaluate and say, hey, you can be eligible for this kind of a visa, and we will help you out. So when I say a foreign company, again, there are certain criteria that must be met per the immigration laws, which we will evaluate and then tell you and guide if the foreign countries, the companies in the foreign countries are eligible to do this and process the visa, right? So one of the first and main, Naveenji, I think you can just move on to the next slide as I talk. So one of the main benefits which I spoke is that you could obtain the green card, and there is no minimum requirement of the investment that you have to do. However, you do need to prove the eligibility to pay somebody who is going to move over here, right? And then eventually, when you do the green card filing for the beneficiary, whoever is being proposed for this visa, you also need to prove the ability to pay that person. So these are the minimum requirements. However, there is no investment that you have to show upfront to the government saying, hey, we have this much of amount. This is does this qualify us for an L1? So there's nothing like a minimum investment, right? And then you can live and work here on the L1A visa. You can go back and forth through the country from where you came, because the L1A visa is something is in the executive managerial role, wherein the person who handles the functions, who is in the managerial capacity, might be required to go to the foreign country wherever he has been transferred from, and see and manage the operations in that particular country as well, right? So that ability to travel is one of the benefits. You could go back. There's no minimum stay that you have to show. Hey, you cannot go beyond like 1 year, right? At the time of filing the green card, there is certain criteria that we will let you know at a later point. But while you're on an L1A visa, you have the flexibility to travel out of the United States. I told you the beauty about obtaining a green card, which is like, dual intent. Eventually, after the L1A visa is approved in the 2 or 3 years of time frame, we could also help you filing your green card. um, there is no minimum educational requirement as long as you meet the criteria of being in an executive capacity, and certain more requirements that the visa needs. There is no educational criteria to show that, hey, you need to have a bachelor's of engineering, you need to have a master's. Just like the H1B is a different. So nothing of that sort. So again, the next part is the period of stay, right? First, again, as we speak in the next slides, there are two types of L1 visas, which is one is the new office and one is the existing. For example, existing, when I mean to say a company in India already has an established company in the US, right? We evaluate the qualifying relationship of those two companies and who is the beneficiary the company is proposing to come over here to move to the United States, right? And then see how long are they going to stay. Based on that, the initial approval for an existing L1A comes in for 3 years, and we will ensure we are giving you the best paperwork and prepare the petition. The other part is the new office. New office, again, there are like a lot of interlinks between to form a company in the country, to file your taxes, to show a couple of very, very important documentations, submissions in the USCIS, right? There's like some of the critical part, which we will talk about later. So these are the two types of L1A visas. However, both of these visas will give you certain period of time frame to stay over here. The existing office 3 years. The new office will allow you only for 1 year for the first time when it is approved, because the new office requires you to prove to the government, uh, you know, the basis of your movement, right? The beneficiary is coming to the US, the basis of the stay, and then you talk about what are they going to do. So that's in the next slide we will talk. um, one of the first and foremost requirements to be eligible for the L1A visa, be it an existing or a new office, is the qualifying relationship. So there should be existing a qualifying relationship between the two companies, that is a foreign country. For example, we'll take an example of India. The Indian company has 100% ownership of the US company, right? So that is a qualifying relationship. Either it can be a parent company, it can be a sister company, it can be a subsidiary, it can be an affiliate, it can be a branch, as long as there is a relationship existing between the foreign country and the company in the US. And we will further evaluate the documents. Like Naveen ji said, this is not a legal opinion, so we carefully have to evaluate each case and let you know, hey, does this mean, which Ajay is an expert and he could definitely help you out, do that formations and stuff. So this is one very important. If this is not met, then we cannot even move further with exploring the option of L1A. The second thing is doing business. In the case of the L1A existing office, right? You also have to ensure both of these entities are doing business. When I say doing business, you should have, the ability to prove, like you have a client over here, or you have been generating revenue in the US. Even the same also is with the foreign entity, like in India, right? You must be able to say the Indian entity has been existing in the business for so long. We will look at your contracts, we'll look at your agreements with the clients, what kind of a business you have been into, right? There is a certain evaluation process to do this, but this is another important qualification, that to prove that you're eligible for the L1A visa, right? Um, the third one is employment. Now, for the beneficiary who is being proposed for this particular visa, needs to be working with the foreign countries organization for at least 1 year in the consecutive 3 years. Right? They have the employment is a very important thing to prove that he or she is eligible for that. When we evaluate, I can take an example for employment contracts like a pay slips or your form 16s from the Indian entity, right? All the documents that will prove that the beneficiary has been working with the foreign country. This is a very very important aspect. Many a times we come across clients as saying, hey, can I, I've been with my previous company for so long, can I just bring that company in? Because somebody was also asking me this question yesterday. No. So you have to have that employer relationship in the past 3 years for at least 12 months. So without all these criteria being met, even if one of it is not being met, then we are knocking off. You're not eligible for that L1A visa. And so other part is the beneficiary who is being proposed must be in an executive managerial role. It is mandatory to be in an executive managerial role or a function head. So once all the job duties or the position descriptions or any of those is evaluated, only then we can tell you if this person who is being proposed is eligible for the L1A visa. Otherwise, again, if one or any of these is not being met, I cannot guarantee the eligibility for the visa. Naveenji, we could move to the next slide. So in my initial slide, which I said there are two types of L1 visas. One is the existing, meaning a company that has been existing in business and doing business and is proposing a beneficiary. The other is a new office L1A. This is a little bit of I would say little tricky, because we have to be very, very careful in properly moving ahead with this process. Over here, when I say L1A new office, we are going to submit to the USCIS a bunch of documents, which we will say this beneficiary is coming to the United States to start the business. There is no business in the United States. So the beneficiary will come to the US, right? And open an office in the US, start hiring. So for that, we will say we are going to use a business plan for that. Again, Entry India team is having experts sitting in the office who could help you with each and every step and preparation of the documents. A business plan is a very very critical part of the L1A new office, right? That business plan, the CEO or whoever the executive manager is, that the company will say these are our projections in terms of hiring, in terms of revenue, in terms of how the business will perform in the next 3 years, right? And when we request to the USCIS, um, and that's going to be only for 1 year. We cannot do this for 3 years, right? In that 1 year, the company has to prove itself, like how much of the business plan projections are being met. Like, say for example, I'm saying we have in the business plan projections like the company is going to do $1 million of business at the end. Before we are close to the 1 year wherein we will file an extension of the case, I have to prove to the USCIS that this organization has met that revenue. It's just an example, but there are variety of things that we have to include in the business plan, saying how the business will perform. Now, even before we talk about the business plan, it is very important for you to come and open an office over here, right? Where will the beneficiaries of L1A visa sit in the United States? It is mandatory for you to have a physical office space. Again, Entry India team has variety of options. We will also help you out, identify and locate a business space, and that has to be a dedicated office for the particular organization who is doing the L1, right? And then we have those leased agreements. There are like variety of documents that we will need to prove the existence of or the startup of the business in the US, right? And most of the paperwork related to finance or any of these lease documents, again, we have a team who could help you out, because L1A new office is not so easy to obtain an approval for, right? We must show how how the US entity and the Indian entity are tied up, right? It can be an European entity too. We have done multiple cases, different variety of businesses across the globe who have received approvals because the paperwork is intact. So we have to show a lot of evidences, which again, it can be related to the performance of the business. Your business is existing in the United States. How is the qualifying relationship met? Each case is based on evaluation. So this is just an overview of the new office, but there's like lot. It's a it's an in-depth subject to understand. I know we are having a little of a time crunch, so I'm just leaving it over here. Naveenji, if we can move to the next slide. A couple of questions are lined up. We made the slide based on the general questions that we keep receiving, right? What is like a qualifying relationship between the companies? Like I explained, it can be a branch, affiliate, subsidiary, like a sister relationship, any relationship. But again, when I say relationship, we have to properly evaluate the documents and then tell you, okay, this is okay. Otherwise, we have Ajay, who could also, from a finance perspective, he could also see and what can be done, right, to properly establish a company. The second is, must the US company be in the same line of business as in the Indian company? No, it can be, the line of business can be different. Like, for example, the Indian company is an IT company, US business is doing something else, in a pharmaceutical industry. The line of industries can be different, but the qualifying relationship cannot be deviated, right? You need to prove the qualifying relationship between the two entities. What is the minimum amount of investment? We already covered this. There's no minimum amount of investment, but however, eventually there are certain steps wherein, when you're obtaining the green card, the company must be able to prove that it has the ability to pay this beneficiary, right? It has the ability to pay the L1A visa holder. It has the ability to pay the monthly wages of the to the beneficiary. So certain things are required, but there is no such minimum amount that we have to show on the records. If I want to open an office in the US, how do I show the US company is doing business? Like again, there are a variety of documents we would ask you. Doing business is, do you have clients? Do you have MSAs? Do you have contracts? What kind of business you are doing? There will be some kind of an evidence that we could use in filing the petitions, right? What documents must be submitted to prove that the employee worked for the company abroad, or at least for 1 year in the recent past 3 years. Typically, we look at the employment contracts I'm also an HR professional, so I also look at the HR paperwork, which I would say, your performance appraisals, right? If you have been reporting to your CEO of the company or whoever the hierarchy level is, I would also look at those reporting structures of your company, your organizational charts, your employment contracts, your pay stubs, anything that is related to the tax perspective. So there are a variety of documents that I would ask you to properly evaluate and say that you have been with the company to determine the eligibility. Can I qualify for an L1A visa if the owner of the company abroad? Of course. So many times CEOs, CFOs, right, in the executive capacity are eligible. Again, sometimes they don't draw a particular amount of salary, and there is a certain amount of this thing that they take as stocks and stuff. So I will, when if you have further questions on that, we can evaluate as a case to case basis and discuss on that, because there is proper documentation to be evaluated before I comment on that. And how long can somebody be granted an L1 visa for? The new office will allow you only for 1 year. Before the end of 1 year, we have to file an extension, during which we will prepare a petition saying to the USCIS what all the company has performed based on the initial business plan projections that the company has provided. So this is for new office. While an existing L1A gets an approval for 3 years. So L1A visa in total can stay up to 7 years, which is a max out, before which a company has to decide and process the green card. So that's how it is. Typically, USCIS grants the visa validity. But again, when I say L1, this is also linked. Some of them are on H1s in the country, right? Without evaluation, how much of a stay he or she has been in the country. There are certain limitations to being in the country versus, coming from an outside the country. So again, we will evaluate the case and then let you know. Um, can I bring my family and then can they work in the US? Of course, that's another beauty. You can bring your spouses to the US on L2 visa. And in the recent years, USC has also enabled the spouses to give an automatic employment authorization, wherein you can be in the country and then you're eligible to start working. So that is independent of an employer, whereas the primary L1A is a employer dependent, right? You cannot move employers like you do on H1 or stuff. So L1 is linked to the employer, whereas L2, the spouses can start working in the US soon after they land. You can also travel along with your family, bring your children, right? There are various options. You can consider them being in the college, but again, that's a whole different immigration wing we have to explore. I hope to have covered everything, Naveenji, from what we have on the slide.
Wonderful. Thank you, Geeta. Thank you for very insightful presentation and the talking points that you shared regarding L1A. So it's time for us to field some questions. We'll get started. Tarun has to leave, everyone. And if there are any questions for Tarun regarding the opportunities, regarding the kind of setup you want to have in the US and how New Jersey can be the best state for you to strategically to get started with your business in the US, feel free to ask Tarun. He has another engagement to leave soon. Or if Tarun, you leave, of course, I'm here to field those questions and bring those questions to you. In very short, just to share with everyone, since Tarun is here, a company came to us. This is an example, and they said they want to launch um, perfume in the US market. So what they did was, but perfume is a hazardous material, lot of compliance work to be done. So in the end, they brought in the concentration and the blending with water and whatever blending and bottling was done in New Jersey. And this is the kind of stuff where you should look into. What happened was it became a made in USA product, 51% more. And then I'm just sharing it because Tarun is here and he can add more to it. So what happened with this? US has free trade agreement with 20 or 21 countries. 40 to 50% of that export goes to these countries. So remember, even though you are taking baby steps, starting very simple, starting now, but that kind of a vision, if you have in mind, let me give you the number. US export right now is $3 trillion per year, and 40 to 50% means $1.5 trillion. Up to that much of export from US goes to these 20 countries only. So when you say expanding business into the US, we are talking about setting it up. But in your future goal, also look into that when in US, your market opens up with so many countries around the world, but mainly with these 20 countries where 50% of the US export happens. And that is the beauty, because as Tarun mentioned, there are incentives, there are grants. Now you have access to those incentives, you have access to those grants, and US is on top of the line when they come to support a US made product in the foreign market. Tarun, if I missed anything, please add to it, because this will be good for
Sure,
everybody to know.
sure. Naveenji, I think you rightly mentioned. I would say break it up into three levels. Any grants incentives are one at a federal level. That is applicable to you irrespective of any state you go to. The second level comes at a state level programs. For example, in our state, it is New Jersey Economic Development Authority. There are about 60 programs. Each one of them has a different criteria, but broadly those four factors come into play. And third is sometimes you're also eligible at a county level, those incentives. Yeah. So these are the things to keep in mind. But I always tell the companies, no level of incentives will make a bad business case a good business case, right? So your business case should stand on its own in terms of profitability. Incentives can only make it better. Yeah. And so that's something. Sometimes incentives cannot be the reason why you're looking to set up in US or New Jersey, right? So it's the business, whether the clients are already there or having. Now, for example, we met a company who was into home textiles. They said that for a particular client, we already have a 10% wallet share. But what their client is saying that if you are able to set up a facility for uh, uncontaminated cotton, using uncontaminated cotton, long fiber cotton. I don't understand this, but long fiber cotton, we'll be able to give you a larger share of our wallet. Now, and a lot of this industry has got automated because manpower cost, there is no comparison with India, right? And that's not the right yardstick. You can't compare a $20 per hour to the cost. So it needs to stand on its merit. Is the industry towards automation? And what level of assembly or manufacturing will you do? So these are all elements to take mention that. Our coordinates, Naveenji, I think we'll be sharing the email, the presentation after this with Mr. Krishnan and with the FEO members. And we'll be happy to take any further questions on a direct basis as well. Our main criteria is that it should be a bona fide business and they should be looking at their own legal entity, own office, and hiring of own people. These are our criteria to make sure that we support bona fide businesses. Thank you, Navinji, once again for this platform.
Thank you, Tarun. Thank you very much. All right, okay. So let's jump on to the Q&A side. And I will field those questions for everybody to follow through. Okay, so let me go to the first question. Okay, the first question is coming from Atul Shah. They're asking about how about scope of ethnic Indian snacks promoting in the US market? Okay, so this is, scope of, Atulji, you would have to work with the agents or local sales support staff for that kind of an effort. And of course, I'm pretty sure you have set up in the US, and we can take this question, off the webinar just to see into, what can be done. Second question is Murali Krishnan, is we are doing exporting business from India with the small investments. Can I start a company in NJ as an importer, Ajayji?
Yes, definitely. You can start a business as an importer. We'll understand your situation if this is the only goal you have, or if you have immigration related objectives as well. Also, depending on the revenue, the size of the company in India, we can help you understand if an LLC would make sense or a C corporation will be better. But the short answer is yes, you can definitely start the business in US.
All right, thank you. Okay, Karthik, I read your question. Karthik, I read your question. You can, Manvi has shared, everyone, Manvi Kaushik is from our team, Entry India, Entry USA. So she has shared a form, for specifically regarding the questions like Karthik asked, request them to fill them out. And then, but whatever we'll answer here, of course. So let's go to Geeta contact number. Okay, once you fill the form, of course, you'll get in touch with Geeta from Entry Open. The form is shared. So we'll connect you with Geeta. No issues there. She's a part of the team. Okay. What happens is there are certain questions we ask when you are filling up a form. This helps us, the questions that you will address or answer in this form, they will help us to understand more about you so we can be more ready with the type of suggestion we can offer you. All right, Sugan is asking, sir, is there any criteria to give employment for US citizens for at least minimum of number of US citizens? Geeta, this is for you. Hello, Geeta.
Can you Can you just repeat that question once more?
Is there any criteria to give employment for US citizens for at least minimum or number of US citizens?
Yeah, I think the question is a little not so clear. So when I say US citizens, right, what is it they're trying to, I don't know from whom the question came in. So US citizens, hiring US citizens when somebody's on an L1 is the question, or hiring just US citizens for the company. That's a little bit of an HR perspective answer. So US citizens, there is no criteria. There is no minimum criteria or maximum criteria that you have. I hope that's the right answer I'm giving, because I can't see the question anywhere. So there is no minimum criteria that you have to show for hiring a US citizen, right? Based on, but again, you want to make sure you're paying the minimum wages for anybody whom you hire per the state. So each state has a different employment laws, right? And then New Jersey has something else. Californian employment laws are different. So wherever the beneficiary, it can be a US citizen, it can be anybody on an immigration thing, you have to ensure you're meeting the wage levels per the state laws or the federal laws. Now, if this question is more for the L1, the L1A managerial, wherein we discuss about hiring processes and stuff, then yes, right? Again, the same law applies. You have to pay somebody the state level minimum wages, wherever it is.
Okay, thank you, Geeta. Next question is from Chetan Gowda. Is asking to Geeta, in a family-owned business, how to prove I worked as managerial position?
So I think that we will have to evaluate what kind of a business this is. And if you say, when you say family, right, how to prove. So you must, like I said, there are certain criteria that the qualifying relationship we have to evaluate. Have you been in this kind of a position? Like, do you have a team under you who reports to you? All those criteria needs to be evaluated for me to comment, if when you're saying it's a family business, what kind of a business? When has it been existing? When you say family, is it for your son? Right? All those questions need to be evaluated. If you could just fill up that form that Manvi had shared, probably we can get in touch with you.
Next question, Geeta, Chetan is asking how to show we have lots of employees in our company.
So if you have employees, it's like you have your paperwork in place. So, I would look at their pay slips. I could look at your, again, the employment contracts, how long they have been in the company. There are various evidences from the HR perspective that we can evaluate. So when you say how to show, I'm sure, a company would always maintain the compliance part of the paperwork for us to include in the USCIS petitions.
All right, thank you, Geeta. Now, Atul Shah is asking, Navinji, we are into ready to fry pallet snacks. If we fry them in USA, how do we move ahead? Well, sir, as I said, that 51%, if you want to make it a made in USA kind of a content, then 51% of the content that your product is made of has to come from USA. We'll take this question online. There are more things involved in that. And I don't know if Tarun is there or Tarun left. Tarun, if you are there, probably you may have a little more insight into it, or Ashin, you there? Richa or Nikita, anyone here who would like to just say a few words? No, I guess not.
Sir,
Atulji, we'll take this question.
sir, I'm Armugam from India, Trichy.
Acha. Okay,
I
so
was
next question, Chetan Gowda is asking, can we show our stocks in an inventory as our investment in USA? Ajayji, this is for you.
One more time, please.
Can we show our stocks in inventory as our investments in USA?
Yes, you can show as the stocks inventory as an investment in the US, as long as that stock, that inventory was created after the business was formed. Meaning, take an example. If you are forming the business now, today, anything that you are buying under that business is an inventory for that business. If the business is formed today and the inventory already existed, then how would you show that inventory has been part of this newly formed business? But in theory, the inventory, the stocks is part of the investment in the business.
Wonderful, thank you. Vinay is asking, hi Naveen, if we get L1A visa, L1 visa, so what is the scope to get a green card? And also, what will be the approximate cost to open a company in New Jersey? So Geeta, the first question is for you.
So the scope to get a green card eventually. Sorry.
No,
So Yeah. So the scope to get a green card, right? First, like I said, the existing L1 new office is a little bit of a challenge. We need to prove and then, provide proper evidences. Once that is approved, you're on track. And then a few months later, we could think about filing the green card. In my experience, in my expertise, we have done a lot of these. Like for the existing L1s, typically people want to start like once they are in the country, right? Before the first 3 years, they do want to start the process. And it's like we filed the petition. It's called an I-140 filing, an immigrant petition. That's the first next step after the L1A is approved, once the beneficiary is in the country. And that's under EB1C multinational managerial category. And after the I-140 is filed, at a later point, once USCIS releases the visa bulletin saying, hey, the priority dates are current, that is when we file the adjustment of status. So that is the third step in obtaining a green card. Right now, the USCIS has released the visa bulletin. It's looking like 2.5 years of backlogs, meaning somebody who has filed in 22 January is getting a green card right now. So that's how the timelines also look like. So yes, the scope and the timelines is how this is.
Okay, Ajayji, the next question is for you. Also, what will be the approximate cost to open a company in New Jersey?
It depends on several factors, but for the budgeting purpose, for the planning purpose, assume $1,000 to $1,200 to open a company in New Jersey, including all the fee, the federal registration, state registration, tax and labor registration, BOI filing. So it depends on few factors. Assume $1,200 for the purpose of this conversation.
Wonderful. Yes, Vinay, please fill up the form, and then once we hear you out, and then we'll be able to guide you even further. Jagdish is asking scope of 100% organic beauty cosmetics made from agriculture produce in US market. Jagdish, this is a very specific product. We would have to hear out more about it. So we would have to take this question of this webinar. Please again fill out the details in the form that Manvi has shared. Once we look into it, then we'll probably be able to guide you even further if you understand it. But consider that this is the business, but also from the perspective of setting up your brand there. So company setup kind of things should come first, but we'll hear you out. All right. Snehal is asking, we are already visiting US on B1 to conduct exhibitions of our fashion designing garment products. So we file for L1A, and what happens to our B1, B2? Snehal,
So
yes.
yeah, so you have an existing B1, B2 is what she's saying, right?
Yes.
So yeah, so if they are coming to exhibit their products or whatever on the B1, B2, and they still can go back to India and apply, when because I would never recommend doing a change of statuses or something while on a B1, B2 and then do an L1, because B1, B2 is strictly to utilize for the exhibitions or the conferences or the meetings. You cannot work in United States on a B1, B2 visa. It's strictly illegal. So I don't know if I'm answering the question properly. So you could still go back, look at the L1A criteria, the eligibility for your business, and then the process is the same.
Got it. Thank you, Geeta. Now, Gautam is asking, can an LLC in the USA get a bank loan if the 100% ownership is held by an Indian person?
I can try that. It is the ownership has lesser to do with it. So in theory, yes, but you have to show the credibility for the US company. Just if people could get large loans by forming a US company, by paying $1,000 to me, if you could get $100,000 of loan, everybody in India will form the company, take the loan, and not pick up the phone. So that's not how it works. You have to show the credibility, how long the company has been opened in US, what business you are in, what assets you have, what inventory you have, how would you pay the loan back? As long as the US company has the right credibility, the ownership has lesser to do with it. So in theory, 100% foreign owned company in US is entitled to taking the loan from the local banks.
Okay, Gigi. Gautam Kumar Das is asking, can I get an investment to start my Indian pharma company subsidiary at USA?
100%. Absolutely. We have done a lot of businesses with pharma companies. You can have a subsidiary. New Jersey is the pharma hub. A lot of pharma companies in US. Johnson and Johnson has their headquarters in US. Bristol Myers has their headquarters in US. So you can definitely have your Indian pharma company have a subsidiary in US.
Okay. Vernon is asking, I have a company in the USA which is a 100% subsidiary of Indian company. I want to raise money in the USA. I don't have any employees as of now, but will be hiring some soon. Do I need an L1A visa to raise money in the USA?
No, not really. L1A visa is something that you could consider if you really want to move to the United States. So if you want to raise money, that's a different aspect in how you get your clients and all, but that has nothing to do with the L1 visa.
So
Got it.
can I just speak regarding the question?
Sir, can you just please write it on the chat box so we can get to it? If you don't mind,
Okay.
sir.
Okay, sure, sir. Sure.
We have 130 people on the phone. Everybody started
Sorry,
speaking. We would
sorry.
No, that's okay. That's
No.
okay. That's okay. We'll address your question. Don't worry.
Absolutely, sir.
Sugan, just us got it, sir, ma'am. Thank you. Okay, so okay, Chetan Gowda, granite business. Okay, that's they are in the business of granite. I would lose the context, Chetan, but that's okay. Maybe you write it down later. Gurang is asking, if you do not, if you do no business, are you still liable to file your income tax if you have not done so? Can you do so for a couple of years past?
Yes. So the tax filing is mandatory if you have a business in the US, irrespective if you have any transaction in the country or not. Even if you have not opened the bank account, the income tax filing is still mandatory. If you have not filed it, please try filing it ASAP. Even if you miss for a couple of years, let's do it sooner than later.
Wonderful. Prema is asking, we have a plan to open a vegetarian restaurant hotel in New Jersey. What about the opportunity? Who are our target customers today?
I can try that, Naveen. I mean, the opportunities are lot of them. There are plethora of options over there. Like anything else, you have to find the right location, right area. Say, for example, when you talk about vegetarian, you are trying to target a lot of Indian people over there. So you want to find a community, an area where a lot of Indians are living. Say, for example, Addison area, Jersey City area, Newark Avenue. The opportunities are definitely there. We have a lot of restaurants who are completely vegetarian. Uh, you have to see what you are selling, who you are selling, who your target audience is, and then try to shortlist a location, especially when you are selling something unique. A location is going to be very important in my mind. But this is just a general advice. We'll be happy to start the business for you, a restaurant business. You try with the vegetarian option, and let's say if this is not working out, you can add more dishes, more options in your menu, and then see how it works out.
Yes, well, just to share with everyone, we have Anand Bhavan in New Jersey, and I tell you that business is minting money. I mean, it's beautiful and very good ambience, and we all love it.
Yep.
Okay. Next question. Do you assist in tax filing once the company is set up?
Yes, we do. We provide the full compliance services, including but not limited to income tax filing. If you have exposure to sales tax filing, if you have exposure to payroll, if you need the BOI filing, franchise report filing, excise report filing, annual report filing, issuing the share certificate, doing the change in ownership. So whatever you need for your business, Entry India provides one-stop shop right from business startup, compliance, immigration, warehousing, whatever your business needs. We are in your team. We'll make it happen for you.
Beautiful, Ajay. Okay, so next question is, what is the scope for dehydrated products market which falls under ready to eat segment? Sir, we will take this question separately. Please fill out the form that Manvi has shared. There is a lot more that we have to understand from here, so that we can suggest you on what steps you can take. Chetan is asking, can we show our product stocks as our investment to L1 Visa? Geeta, this is for you.
So the question is about stocks in the L1 visa, right?
Product stock. That means they have the inventory in the US. So they want to show, can they show that inventory as an investment for their L1 visa?
So like we said, right, there is no investment that we have to show. It's more about how you're performing or doing your business in the US. It's not about that we could show certain amount of stocks as an inventory and say this is our this thing, and I cannot say using this inventory we are going to prove there is an ability to pay to the employee, right? No. So that investment that you do for a company to start up your business or whatever is different from showing an inventory. So that has nothing to do with this process at all.
Okay, thank you. Yes, thank you, Geeta. Ashik is asking, Ashik is asking, sir, my name is Ashak. I am from Jammu Kashmir. I'm running a LLP company that is not having sound turnover. Can we set up a branch of a company and start exporting traditional craft items from India to US? What are the options for us? Ajay ji? Hello, Ajay ji? Can you hear me?
I
This
think
graph,
it's
Hello, Ajay ji, did you hear that
yes,
question?
I did. I will try again. So there are a lot of options. It's a good idea. Since the labor is expensive in US, these craft materials are very expensive. So if you can export something to US, have a subsidiary in US where your Indian company supplies to your US company and US company sells it off, should work out.
Beautiful. Okay, Chetan is asking, can I come to USA on my existing B1, B2 visa and C, then can I file for L1A application?
so I want to understand, further evaluate. When you say come here to the US on B1, B2, explore the business opportunities is what you mean to say, then yes, right? You could definitely see how you want to start, make your own plans and all. But remember, you cannot work here on the B1, B2. You can do the explorations, you can identify opportunities, you can talk to clients, you can do all that basic work and then go back, right? And then we are going to evaluate the process of L1A eligibility for you. So, but again, B1, B2 conversion in the United States to L1, not recommended.
Okay, very good. So, Sounder is asking, if I set up a company in New Jersey, what will be the minimum annual maintenance cost to own the business in New Jersey?
Well, I'll take that. The annual compliance cost includes the licensing fees, the registration fees that you'll be paying to the state and the local government as well. So state of New Jersey will charge $76 for the annual report, $500 for the annual income tax. So the minimum compliance charges that you want to assume is 1 lakh rupees, $1,000, $1,200. So minimum $1,000 is what you want to assume when it comes to compliance cost per year. And I'm emphasizing the word minimum over here.
Yes, minimum, Ajay ji, then probably then, the company has not made any annual revenue also.
Right. That's what we are assuming. So if the company has a lot of revenue, a lot of profit, then of course the state will charge more money, more taxes. Then you have to pay more. The compliance will increase. So emphasizing the word minimum, meaning there is no profit, so there is no income tax. There is minimum licensing fees that goes to the state. There's a minimum annual report fees that goes to the state. So you still want to assume $1,000 compliance cost with any state in this country.
Wonderful. Thank you, Manvi, for sharing the form. Vinay has filled it. Thank you, Vinay. Please fill up the form. The questions asked will help us understand your requirements better. Okay, and Jagdish ji, contact details. Manvi has shared the form. Those are the contact details. The email is given also, but not even email. I will say fill up the form. The questions you will answer will help us understand your requirements better. Nikita is asking, hi, Mr. Naveen. I missed that question. Please let me know the question, can address it. Okay, Nitika is from New Jersey, India Center. So she missed it. Nitika, it was, I will share the question with you. The question was from Atul Shah, but let's address that in the end. Let's take on the questions that we have right now. But I will come back to you, Nitika. Gautam is asking, top of that the LLC already has an EIN and bank account. Gautam, I missed the context now. Your earlier question, because we are looking into law, so many questions, I don't remember it. So you have to put it all together. Ajax is asking, respected sir, this is Karthik. Karthik, we plan to open restaurant and import snakes items from India. What is the procured and what are the documents needed? Kindly do the needful.
So it seems like they want to open a restaurant and import snacks item. Please fill up the form. We'll have our import-export team get in touch with you. I can only answer the CPA, tax, accounting, business formation, compliance related question, and Geeta can help you with the immigration side. It seems your question is more related to the import duties or export duties for that matter. So we can help you open a restaurant. You can definitely import the snacks item. Please fill up the form and we'll have our import export team get in touch with you as well.
All right. Thank you, sir. Next question is by Gautam. Okay. Thank you, sir. Okay. Hari Prakash is asking, sir, I am Hari, good evening. We are currently engaged in trading activities, including export and import between India and Russia. I'm considering opening a similar company in the USA to market our products there. Are there any potential issues between Russia and America that I should be aware of?
Well, in this case, if I understood the question right, you are currently doing import-export between between India and Russia, and after opening the company in US, you will be doing import-export between India and America, unless you are suggesting that India to Russia and Russia to America. But nonetheless, I'm not aware of any limitations around it, but this is not my field. Please fill up the form. We can have somebody in our import export division look at your situation just to be on the safe side. But I know there is no limitations from India to US import export. Naveen, you're on mute, sir.
Sorry, everyone. RNK is asking, is it possible to get a green card by investing in an American company? If so, how much? Geeta,
So yeah, so there's like that's not related to L1 visa. The EB5s. There are a couple of more other options, investors visa. But I cannot say, hey, this is the minimum investment. Like, what is the business you're doing, right? There's certain evaluation. I would recommend whoever asked this question to fill up the form and send us more details about, what kind of a visa you're exactly looking for, what is the business line you're in, based on that, we can guide you. But yes, to answer your question, there are other varieties of visas that we could explore and let you know.
Okay, thank you, Geeta. Praveen is asking, I'm already a distributor of a particular product in India. They have their company in the US and distribution also in NJ. Can I become as a distributor of their product in New Jersey?
I bet you should be able to. I don't see any issue with the approach. We can form a company for you in New Jersey, and that New Jersey company can become the distributor. Unless we are missing something, unless we are missing the detail, please fill up the form and we'll be happy to have a detailed look at your situation. But I see that it should be doable.
Yes, of course. Vernon is asking, my company was formed 2 years back and have been paying taxes as well since the last 2 years. I don't have a social security number. It get difficult to open a bank account as well. So raising money was tricky. Vernon, so the context we have missed again. So, maybe write up your questions. We are,
Well,
probably.
I think I remember the question. The question was related to raising money, and the response that we had, that if people could just raise the money by opening a company in US by investing $1,000, if people could raise significant amount of money, everybody in India will take the money and not show up. So, but if in response to that, Vernon is saying that he have this company for 2 years. Vernon, that the details that you're providing are not sufficient. At the end of the day, any lender, bank, private lender, angel investor, venture capitalist, they're all looking at two things. Do you have enough assets to cover their loan? And do you have enough cash flow to make the payment? Two things. How much assets you have? If I'm giving you $100,000 of loan, do you have enough assets in the company? Or do you have enough net worth? Who is guaranteeing my loan? So one, asset. Second, the cash flow. If I give you 100,000 and I'm expecting, let's say over the next 2 years, 5,000 a month, 10% interest. Are you able to afford giving me 5,000 a month? So there are more to it than just the ownership, number of years you have been filing taxes, or the number of years, or who the owners are. There is more to it. If you are the lender, what would you want to see in a company? Look at it from that perspective.
Beautiful, Ajay. Thank you, Manvi, once again for sharing the form. Ajay is asking, sir, what is the scope of Ayurvedic medicines and dried herbs in USA?
It's very good. We just opened another company for homeopathic medicine. So a lot of people are going through this alternate medicinal path. A lot of people are not liking the allopathic medicine. So Ayurveda, homeopathy is on the rise. I don't have the number as how much the scope is, but the way I see it, as Naveen initially started, you cannot learn driving in a parked car. You will never know until you give it a try. And let's say hypothetically, in the worst case scenario, it did not work out. What exactly did you lose? You can always close the company and move on with your life. But if you don't try it, you will always keep thinking, what if I had tried it? I could have been something. I could have done something. So, I mean, give it a shot. The scope is there.
Absolutely. Just to add to what Ajayji said, is that, if you go to Costco, one of the largest or the largest wholesalers in USA with 300 some billion dollars of sales that they did, they are selling, for example, turmeric in capsules, and
Yep.
very, very extremely large business they are doing just by putting turmeric in a capsule and selling it. So
And it's
look at that.
expensive.
Every Indian we eat turmeric every day, and they are selling it like hotcakes or hot potatoes. So yes,
It's
please give it a
expensive.
shot.
They're selling it for $49 a bottle.
$49 a bottle.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't buy, but yeah, that's amazing to know. All right. Okay. So Gautam is asking, is there any option to get green card permanent residency by making investment basis like making investment around $1 million USD or like this? And if possible, then how long it will take to get green card after doing that investment?
Right. So, like I said, right, I cannot say, okay, the 1 million is you could buy a green card, right? Making some investment. There is a little bit of process on what kind of a business you're doing, how much of a, the business investor visa is a whole different story. It's not like L1. So I would, request whoever has this question, please, given more information in the form that we have on the chat box, and then Entry India team will reach out to you, and then we could evaluate. But to answer your question, there is a variety of visas outside the L1 box, but we need to evaluate. If you say, Geeta, I have 1 million, I can just invest and get a visa, that's not going to happen. So there's a, the criteria, what is that you're wanting to do, right? Wherein you want to invest. So it's just not having money and getting a green card. No, please fill up the form and we will reach out to you.
Wonderful, Geeta. Prema is asking, please explain the scope for the food processing companies set up in New Jersey, like rice noodle, millet noodle, frozen food products like pizza, samosa, etc.
The scope is definitely there. A lot of people are moving to this type of food. Nobody has time to cook the food from scratch. What you want to be looking at, instead of setting up your own shop, first to begin with, you want to be working with a lot of wholesaler. We have a lot of wholesaler that we typically work with. We have a lot of retailers, Sabji Mandi, Patels, Apna Bazaar. We have a lot of retailers that we work with. First, you want to work through these retailers, these wholesalers, to see how much the consumption is, what's the acceptance, and then you consider creating your own warehouse. Creating your own setup is expensive. So before you commit to a large amount of investment, you want to see the acceptance of the product. You want to let people know about your product, let people get used to your product, and then invest large amount of money. But definitely the scope is there.
Yes, so I want to add something to it, Ajayji. For example, there are if there are more companies here in food business, there are food incubators in USA. So what happens is, let's say you want to launch this product, right? For a food processing company, rice noodles, let's say rice noodles, and then you want to launch in the US. So what you do is you rent out a kitchen there in food incubators. On Google, write down Rutgers Food Incubation. In Rutgers University in New Jersey, probably 10 minutes drive from our office or maybe less in East Brunswick. So what you do is you can rent out they give you option for renting out a kitchen. For example, you manufacture or you make your food product there, you do the packaging and you do the labeling. That gives you immense power, because now you are made in USA. They will help you, guide you, if you become a part of that kind of an incubator, to reach out to not only investors but to buyers and get kind of a feedback on your product. And that's a beautiful way. I met a company based out of Rhode Island, for example, in this case, and an Indian company. They both the incubator and the Indian company, and they launched their sauce, very specific Indian masala sauce. So yes, the scope is humongous, and then there are ways to do that too. Okay, Gautam is asking, is there any threshold investment limit to get the green card upfront, just doing that investment? Geeta, I think Gautam sir wants green card today, so please help him.
Yeah, green card investment. Can you just repeat that phrase one more time?
Is there any threshold investment limit to get the green card upfront, just doing that investment?
No, again, I think this is the same question everybody's asking. If we just hold a bag of money and then, do the investment in the US and then obtain a green card, the whole entire world would have been in the US for now, because there are like millionaires and all, right? Even to that extent, I don't know if this is off topic a little bit. The famous soccer player Ronaldo, he did not get an O1 visa just because he's a soccer player, right? There was a criteria, so that's why he went to the United Arab. So there's that, and the World Cup which Messi's team had won, right? The Argentinian team. He is in Florida having his own soccer club, and he was in an O visa. So it's a whole different story. So it's just not having money. We need to evaluate what you want to do in the US. We will let you know what is the eligibility that you're meeting. But again, to everybody on the platform, I do understand, US is a country that has been economically attracting people. In my area, being an HR and an immigration professional, I've seen a lot of people who have had opportunities to move to Australia, Europe, London, UK and all, but the primary first preference is the US, who have a lot of money. But again, please be noted that we need to evaluate on how you want to invest the money, right? That is very important for us to know. So yes, so we need to evaluate, and then I can guide you further.
Okay. Everyone, we are getting very close to 9 o'clock. We'll just give it a shot for next 3, 4 questions before calling it a day. Anand is asking, sir, this question is both for Ajay and Geeta put together. Sir, we are a manufacturer of plastic pouches in India. Can we set up a company in US just for marketing our products? Ajay ji, the first part of the question.
You should be able to, just because we are in the last of this seminar, you can definitely open a company for anything that you want to do. There is no such limitation that you cannot open a company. You have to have a business model around it. You want to be cost conscious around it. You don't want to be investing crores of rupees in a structure that you're not sure about. So can you start a business? Definitely you can. Can you have just a marketing arm? Of course you can. Can you have just the search engine optimization? Of course you can. Can you have a warehouse? Yes, you can. Meaning the options are there. You decide how you want to grow the business. You can definitely have any type of business that makes sense in your situation in US.
Wonderful, Ajay. So now the next part of the same question is, also, can I hire my friends from USA who are currently working on H1 visa?
So yes, you could definitely hire. Make sure you're meeting the compliance part of which we can discuss with the Entry India team. We are there to help you out. You could hire, and it has to be aligned with the USCIS immigration laws. So just hiring an H1, you need to have your entity over here in the US. When you are hiring somebody on H1, you also need to do a transfer process. The H1 has to be transferred to your company for them to become eligible to start working for you, and then you have to start your payroll. So there's like so many things interlinked, but yes, to your question, you could hire people on H1. But again, H1 is a whole different subject. To do something with specialty occupation versus L1 is different. L1 has again an L1A and L1B, that like whole different. Immigration is vast. H1 is different. So, to answer your question, you could hire, but you need to make sure and work on the background, which is the beneficiary meeting the specialty occupation requirement to properly start working for the position. So again, fill up more details, and then we'll be happy to get in touch with you.
Okay, the last part of the same question is, also, as I'm a proprietor in my current company in India, can I apply for L1 visa?
Yes, as long as all the qualifying relationships have been met, which we discussed in the slides that we had presented. If all of those have been met, we will evaluate, and then yes, you could definitely consider yourself for an L1A visa.
Beautiful. Okay. Thank you, Ajax, for joining, and thank you for amazing webinar. Jay says, thank you very much, Jay, that you participated in it. Chetan is asking, I have seen in EB5 we have to hire 10 employees, whereas L1A visa we have to hire 5 to 10 employees. Which one is overall good for managing business and faster to get green card?
I would say EB5 is currently under high scrutiny until you really meet all the requirements. That's a whole different story. And, Naveenji, we should think of having a webinar only for EB5s. So that's a different thing. But my recommendation, if you're meeting all the criteria for the L1A visa and stuff, that's L1A is the fastest way to get a green card.
Beautiful. Okay. Harveer is asking, 2-3 minutes. There are 5 more questions, but let's wrap them up as fast. Unikrishnan sir, I know we are getting late here, but we are fielding these questions because these are interesting ones and don't want to miss out answering, everybody asking. But fill out the form. We'll help you out. We'll listen to you and guide you further. But let us take a couple of more questions and we'll call it a day for today. Harveer is asking, hi, my name is Harveer. I would like to ask that I already have a B1, B2 visa and go on a business trips in USA. Now, if I want to open a company in US, what is the requirement to open a company there? And can I stay over there to operate it? I am one from the directors of my company in India, one of the directors.
So I can
Right.
give you. Go ahead,
Yeah,
Geeta.
so that's what I was going to say. I would say Ajay to take this question up because that's more to do with the opening of a company?
So I can give you the requirement to open the company. As what information we need. Just fill up the form. We'll give you the information, copy of the passport, copy of a driver license, Indian company information. We'll ask you if the company in US is going to be owned by your Indian company or by the shareholders of the Indian company, and we'll be happy to form the company. But can you work under this newly formed company legally? I don't think so, but Geeta can answer it. So you have to have proper visa around it. Just B1, B2 does not allow you to have a working status in this country.
That's right. So yeah, B1, B2 is not for you to work over here. It's limited to attending the conferences, meeting your clients, any business conferences, right? It's limited to that. You cannot work on a B1, B2 visa, and you cannot be paid on this. But however, sometimes your Indian entity is sending you on the B1, B2 visa to attend certain conferences. They can pay you in India. That's a different thing. So, but in the US, you cannot earn in dollars. It's like a stipend or something that we call in India per day, right? Allowances that the company can give you because you have to survive while you're in the B1, B2, but you cannot earn wages. So that's not proper to do.
Okay, Nilesh is asking, I have 1-year-old company in India and we are doing export only in UAE. As a merchant export from India to our 3-year-old company in UAE selling Amazon and Noon. Can you please help me to understand the basic requirement to open a company in the US and get L1A visa with selling on Amazon.com, or it has to be offline selling?
Yes, we can definitely give you the minimum documents needed. Again, it depends on the type of company or who is going to be owning the company. But typically, we need basic information, copy of the passport, copy of the driver license, whoever is going to own the company, their information. If the Indian company is going to own the US company, then we'll need the formation document or for some sort of information on the Indian company to verify the name, the address, the ID. So basic information is needed. Now, as far as getting the L1 through your new company is concerned, Geeta can help you understand. I think there are rules around it, there are requirements around it. Just by opening a company, you do not get the green card or L1 visa right away. It's a process that you have to go through.
Next question, real quick. Can SBA take guarantee for bank loans in case the company is owned by 100% foreign investors?
What's the second one? Can FBA?
SBA, Small Business Administration.
Yeah, can SBA take the guarantee for a business that's 100% owned by the foreign company? Think about it. It's not who owns the company. Look at it from the SBA perspective. Why would SBA guarantee your loan? Who would SBA go behind if the loan is in default? If you have a 100% foreign owned company, we don't have any control over it. So you have to have at least 20% local ownership, and that person who has 20% local ownership has to personally guarantee their loan and has to have net worth equal to or more than the loan that they're guaranteeing. Meaning, if you make me guarantee the loan of $100 million, my net worth is not even $1 million. So my guarantee is worthless. So when you have these loan related question, instead of looking at it from the company perspective, look at it from the lender's perspective, and they'll be easier to understand.
Wonderful. Jagdish is asking, okay, guys, only 2 more questions left. My daughter is in USA, Atlanta with green card. Can I make her as a partner to start my business in US?
Yes, you can. It's a good idea. You trust her. She is your own family. She already has green card. So having her as a local partner will solve a lot of issues for you.
Beautiful. Bhagesh is asking, sir, I am the merchant traders company in India. Can you support to get buyer to grow the business in USA? Bhageshri, this is very specific. We can talk about it. Please fill out the form. We provide a service called sales facilitation support service. Right now, even government of India is our client. We help through our sales facilitation support center, companies find buyers in the US market. So yes, it can be done. Please fill out a form that Manvi has shared. Ashish is asking how to find prospective business partners to start a joint venture type business selling jute and cotton ecological bags to the local markets.
Yeah, again, fill up the form. We'll be happy to introduce you to a few people who are in the same business model. So as much as you want to find a US partner, you have to see what value you expect this US partner to be bringing to the table. Are you looking towards having them providing the warehouse? Are you looking them providing you the connections to the resellers? So you have to see what value you expect these partners to bring to the table. Fill up the form, or provide as much details as possible, and we'll do our best to introduce you to few local people here.
Wonderful. You are welcome, Chetan. Now, Gautam Kumar Das, this is the last question, guys. I am a director in my pharma company for last 2.5 years and was director for last 12 years. Am I eligible for L1A visa? Is it easy for me?
Sorry, Naveenji, can you once
Yes.
more?
I am director in my pharma company for last 2.5 years and was director for last 12 years. Am I eligible for L1A visa?
So, director for the US company and for the Indian company is what they're trying to say, right? The question is missing a little bit of.
No, it did not say that. The question does
Yeah.
not provide that
Yeah,
information.
so probably, if assuming that he's talking about an existing company in the US plus, something in India, and they have a qualifying relationship, and he's been with the companies and, it's been making business, right, existing, then yes. But again, I think the question is missing a lot of information, which I will, need
Indian
to
company.
request. Yeah. So if it's an Indian and the US and meeting the eligibility criteria that we spoke, then yes, right? We could definitely consider the L1.
Okay. So I guess we got everything right. I know there are a couple of more questions pouring in, but guys, we'll take these questions offline. Please fill out a form. It is 9:09 already. We are 40 minutes over the limit that we gave to ourselves. But we will definitely work with you. Manvi, please share the form again. Once again, guys, running a company or starting a company, running a business in the US is not challenging. Of course, we require certain guidelines, we follow certain discipline, and then be very proactive in our approach in doing business in US. It is not as expensive as it sounds like, because when you convert 83 rupees to $1, or in your case, probably 85 rupees to $1, I know the money becomes a bottleneck in the mind at least, but if you don't give it a try, there are many such examples in which we have seen, particularly in my case, one company, just an example, came to us in 2021. It was a food company, and they were looking for buyers. They wanted to sell the product, and in last year, I kept on asking them that company setup becomes important to win the trust, and you have to meet the buyers. Last year, one of the directors opened up the company with us. 3 months they spent. We connected them with a lot of companies. They went all around, and guess what? They got their product at 78 ShopRite stores just in November around period last year, and now they are getting on L1A visa. So you give it a shot. You cannot learn to drive in a parked car. You cannot learn to swim standing on the shoreline. You have to take that jump. And with our resources, we'll try to make it as easy as possible. We do, everything. When I say everything, I mean most of the stuff what we do is in-house. Company setup, compliance work, L1A, transportation, US customs, and up to the extent of mergers and acquisition, finding you opportunities. Actually, two of my close confidant, Himanshu Sharma and Gorang, I wish they were here. Many possibilities we can discuss. Go expanding the business in the US market. Manvi is your contact person. Please fill out the form. We will totally support you. Ajay ji, any last word you want to add?
No, thank you. We had a lot of people. I still see 70, 80 people on the call. So we appreciate you being here. We appreciate the time. We hope you found this presentation useful. If there is anything that we missed, we speak all the language, Hindi, English. Geeta has more control on some other languages as well. So please use any language. We are happy to explain you in whatever language works with you. please fill up the form. You have Mr. Pathak's number, you have Manvi's number. If not, Manvi, please provide it one more time and let us know how we can help.
Of course. Nitika, you are there, and I remember Mr. Atul Shah, you were talking about ethnic foods. I will make a connection because you mentioned about making those ethnic products in India, in the US. So that is a good start. Nitika, I will do that connection, and then you can take it forward from there. Geeta, any last word from you?
No, Navinji, it's been wonderful interacting with everybody, right? And then I would thank every one of you here and people who have left. Thank you for your time. Thank you for joining the call. Special thanks to Uni Krishnan ji for accommodating this, right? And all other of the panel members. We are here, the Entry India team is here to help you all.
Thank you very much, sir. Uni Krishnan, sir, thank you for very much.
Yeah,
I'm so
thank you,
sorry.
Naveen ji.
With
Thank
the
you,
love of
Ajay
the
ji, and
game.
thank you, Geeta ji, for wonderful presentation. It's really very informative and useful. And that's what already Ajay ji told that almost 80 participants still there. We already crossed 9 o'clock, 9 p.m. So thank you very much. It's very interesting, very informative, and we'll keep on interacting together for benefit of Indian exporters and importers.
Yes, sir.
Thank
One
you very
last
much.
point. This is part one of the web series. In the next one, we'll also cover e-commerce and B2B warehousing, and we will also cover in the subsequent ones. We'll also cover sales facilitations in the US market. How to bring salespeople on your team and support you positioning your product in the market. So stay tuned. Mr. Unnikrishnan sir will get back in touch with you once we set up everything in the coming weeks. Sir, thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. You all have a wonderful evening. You take care.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We'll be in touch. Thank you. Bye-bye.